a lot of times this is us and our vision. If it's not happening in the first year, I might have done something wrong. Doubt, fear, anxiety, stress, lack of resources, lack of funding. Your bucket's just filling up, man. There's three problems with vision. One, you don't have it. Two, you're not communicating it. And three, you don't believe it. And so there's lots of doubt and insecurity and all that when your bucket is filling up. Just keep casting vision. Keep going through the doors.
It's time to reinvent.
Welcome to the Lessons of Entrepreneurship, the journey of reinvention. Today I've got an exciting guest, Dr. Dave Jones, the founder of M is Good, a Christian advertising agency that has generated over $50 million in revenue. He is a strategic consultant to CEOs and the author of Vision Wins. I'm so excited to have you here, Dave, because not only has the cool factor gone up by you being here on the show, but you've done so much and you speak to something that I think small business owners, entrepreneurs, we get blurry about, and it's very important. You speak about vision. So I'll let you start with your vision should align with your personal identity. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so vision's a big thing. First of all, thank you for having me on. It's an honor to be on, and I'm excited to talk to you tonight. I would say that of all the things that I do over the years, this is my 24th year at M is Good. I started it in November 2001. It's hard to say that you're an expert on anything. Just don't believe in that because I believe in a growth mindset, like always learning, growing, and changing versus I know everything. I've been doing this for so long. How dare you challenge me kind of thing. But I would say that vision is something that I know very well just because I've stumbled through it, Priscilla, for so many years and made so many mistakes. So we're talking about the structure of vision, the culture of vision. We could do a 3-hour podcast on it, honestly. I believe that as an entrepreneur, whether you're starting or you're in the middle or even towards the end of your career, vision and identity are a big deal. Me running a Christian organization, Christian ad agency, I believe that God has put a vision in your heart, and that vision needs some sort of curation, but also some discovery in where you're going. So once that's out, great things happen. And I'm going to say it's not easy. I'm going to say great things start to happen where I just believe that God can move when that vision's, whether you're realizing it, whether you're speaking it, whether you're just doing it. Yeah. So I think it's a big deal in who you are. There's this sort of performance thing that happens. Like we believe that how we make income is who we are. That's not who we are. I think that's part of who we are, but it's not who we are and it's not what we do. Did that answer your question? I felt like that was a little bit more than you were asking
did,
for.
and you raised some more questions for me.
Okay.
You talked about the curation of the vision.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Okay. Let's just get into some really cool vision statements. Years ago, Bill Gates, he had a vision to have a computer in every home. That vision was crazy talk. Back then, the size of a computer was the size of a house, like literally. And he said the vision is to have a computer in every home. Today, there are probably, I think the latest poll out there was that there are 3 computers per 1 human on the planet now, which is crazy. FedEx's vision was to be in every city every day. Like, think about that, to be in every city every day. The curation of that, to have a computer in every home, to be in every city, to take that vision and go, okay, how do we strategically execute this? And what are the tactics to make this happen? Is really hard. So it's got to curate. You've got to sit with it. You got to understand, how do we execute this? Now FedEx is in every city every day, twice a day. That's crazy. One of the visions that I worked on myself was through Freedom United, the largest modern day anti-slavery organization in the world. And that vision is to end slavery. You think about that, practically it's never going to happen. There's about $2.5 to $3 billion created in the slavery organization to fight slavery. There's about $200 to $300 million. It's an unfair fight. In fact, the slavery that's going on is work labor slavery. It's not sex trafficking. It's a very small portion of that. And so when it's curating, it's like, how do we execute this vision? And a lot of times I like to be an encourager of the vision, to say, look, there's nothing wrong with you and your vision. It's that you haven't communicated it enough. You haven't talked to the right people to help you execute the vision. If the vision is written correctly, it's so much bigger than you. It involves resources, time, and treasure of multiple people. I look at it like, I don't know if you have any viewers or listeners out there that used to watch Batman. When the commissioner was in trouble, he would send the bat signal up on the building and the Batman would come flying in. Do you remember that? This is like the vision statement. It's like your bat signal saying, okay, here's what's in my heart. Here's what God has called me to do. Send up the signal and watch God work.
I'm glad I asked for you to go into that. It's enough already. Someone can log out at this point and do that.
That's good.
But they shouldn't, because there's more to come. Thanks for breaking that down, Dave. There's something that happens. Maybe you can speak to this a little bit. Sometimes we think that vision, like you said, sounds like crazy talk. It just sounds too big because we haven't called in the right people, or we haven't signaled to the right people. We then try to put it aside because it
Yeah.
feels too big and it feels too impossible. They speak about maybe as vision drifting. How do you spot that, and what do you do in that phase?
This is a great question. I like to use an example of, you go to a water park, there's that giant bucket that's filling up with water. And everybody's, oh my gosh, when's it going to tip over? You don't know when it's going to tip over. You don't know where the water level is. But we all know that it's got to fill up with water before it tips. And I think a lot of times this is us in our vision. If it's not happened in the first year, I might have done something wrong. Doubt, fear, anxiety, stress, lack of resources, lack of funding. You know, your bucket's just filling up, man. There's 3 problems with vision. 1, you don't have it. 2, you're not communicating it. And 3, you don't believe it. And so there's lots of doubt and insecurity and all that when your bucket is filling up. Just keep casting vision. Keep going through the doors. Keep getting your butt kicked on it. You know, you're going to get punched in the face. Nobody's going to relate to you. It's really hard. The Bible talks about vision, to write it on a tablet and make it plain. In Habakkuk 2:2, this is a time when Nineveh was at its height. And for those out there who don't know the story, Nineveh was like this place that nobody wanted to go to. In fact, Jonah was like, God, I ain't going to Nineveh. If you know the story about him going and getting swallowed up by the whale and getting burped up in Nineveh. And nobody wanted to go to Nineveh. So I look at it like it was like New York and Los Angeles during the 60s. Like anything goes. The crime, the sex, the drugs, everything was happening in Nineveh. So Habakkuk goes up on this watchtower and he's just, God, what are you doing? This is crazy. And so Habakkuk says, God, I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to sit here and wait for you to tell me what's going on, God. And so God responds with, write the vision on a tablet and make it plain so the runner running by can see it and carry it with them. That's God's response to all the chaos. And so if we look at that and break it down a little bit, I think about this as like today we're driving down the highway and we see a billboard that says McDonald's next exit, right? That's simple. Oh, okay, I'm hungry. I want to eat. Or gas next exit. Simple. You can carry it with you. Or you're driving down the highway and you see a billboard with all this messaging on it and you can't read it because you're going by too fast. There's got to be multiple billboards for you to get it too, because you don't sometimes see it. So this is our vision. It's got to be short, got to be portable, got to be easy to understand, memorable, inspiring, detailed, and it's got to have the God factor. It's got to be bigger than you. If it's not bigger than you, then it's a mission statement. That was a lot, Priscilla.
Thank you for giving us that, because that made a lot of sense. The reasons why. I think when you mentioned those 3 reasons, someone will be able to say, okay, where do I fall in that? And for the person who says, okay, I've got the vision, I'm communicating it, and it's getting heavy to carry this vision. And how do people stay on focus?
That is a great question, but it's so hard, right? Because, again, if you look back at the Bible, God uses people that are just not the people you think he'd use. And so a lot of us are those people. We don't have the money. We don't have the time. We don't have the resources. And you're going, okay, this is the vision, Lord? Yeah. And you chose me? Yeah. And so it is prayerful. I look at it like this is a hallway with lots of doors. If you stand at the end of the hallway and go, geez, that's a lot of doors, I'll wait till one opens up and then I'll walk through. In my experience, that is not how it's worked. I've had to walk down that hallway and I've had to open a couple doors that I shouldn't have opened, but I needed to learn from it before I got to the right door. I think that's part of the vision is, you know what? I got to see what works. I got to get kicked in the teeth a couple of times. I got to get up. I got to learn from this. And you got to glorify the Lord in the valleys. Like I've had lots of valleys, but I've learned from those. I've tried to do my best, probably like a 7 out of 10 best, 10 being the best. I mean, just learn from it and just kept on going. So that's what I would say that somebody's discouraged by it. Just keep going, keep going.
Dave, I never allowed you to tell us how you landed on this path. I know you've gone from sports to marketing. Tell us your backstory. I think you've opened a lot of doors and they've led you a lot of places.
Yeah. I was a hockey player growing up in Northwest Pennsylvania. Early on, I had some success. I won a couple high school hockey championships, state championships. I played junior hockey in Ottawa and in Cleveland. In Cleveland, I got a slap shot in the face, broke my nose in 3 different directions, deviated my septum, cut my nerves between my teeth and my mouth. I went to the Cleveland Clinic. They did a nose surgery on me, put 3 yards of gauze up each nostril and with tubes. What happened, Priscilla, was I couldn't breathe. So like I would have to breathe through my mouth. For 2.5, 3 weeks, my tongue would dry out, crack and bleed. And that was the first time that I was like, Lord, what do you want me to do with my life? Because this stinks. This is not working. So I ended up playing hockey in Europe and I came home and it was a great run in Europe, in Germany. And then same kind of thing kind of happened. I got in corporate America. I was working for Fox TV as a media buyer. And I was like, this is not what I was called to do. And so I just prayed a prayer right there in my cubicle. Lord, what would you have to do with my life? And I didn't hear an audible voice or anything like that. I just said, I'll start an ad agency. What do I call it? And I just came up with the names Marketing Ministries. And I thought that was a really dumb name. So I got a lawyer to see if it's available. And sure enough, it was. And I was like, maybe, yeah, it's not such a dumb name. And so I started to build my company. I had no idea what I was doing. And first year I had $15,000 in revenue and I made 15%. Second year was $30,000. I don't know if the math is $750 I made that year, $800 after taxes. And so that was tough. And then the third and fourth year, it doubled and tripled. We built over $1 million in the 5th year, and it just never looked back. My journey has been one of just following God's intuition and lead. Today, I'm as good as one of the largest Christian ad agencies in the world. We manage about 38 to 41 clients. Our media spend is about $1.6 million a month. We have clients that depend on us for strategic development in their messaging and their KPIs, their key performance indicators. And so throughout those years, man, this is my 24th year. Right around 2013, I really wanted to become a steward of people, just understanding behavior. I didn't really have a track. I knew it was psychology. Psychology is the study of human behavior. Sports psychology is the study of human behavior within sport. I just wanted to chase that, just knowledge. I really wasn't looking for a degree, honestly. I knew a degree wasn't going to get me like anything really. It was just more of the knowledge, just chasing it. I started down the path of getting the doctorate because it had a path of reading and writing and discussion. And so that took me 13 years. And in December 6th of 2024, I defended my final dissertation and became Dr. Dave.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That's exciting. I'm interested to know, maybe you can think of pivotal moments in your business, things that you could share with entrepreneurs or small business owners who are just starting out, who are maybe in that stage where it's, man, is this worth it? After taxes at the end of the year, and this is the 2nd year, and this is not making any money sense whatsoever, but you're pushing through.
Yeah, I would say that you have to give it at least 5 years before you even begin to evaluate. That would be my advice. That's what happened to me. Like, I knew it wasn't working, and I knew I had to walk through some doors, but it never crossed my mind to say, I'm going to do something else. Now, I had lots of doubt and fear and anxiety and stress, and I knew I needed to somehow make it work. I didn't know how. I just kept on moving, and I prayerfully kind of leaned on God. Now, I've never been like a Pentecostal person where I'm hearing from the Holy Spirit and like God said in an audible voice. That's never been me. It's more of, I think I'm going to go in this direction, see what happens. And there are things that work and things that don't. And how they work for you is different than how it worked for somebody else. So I never really compared myself to others. I just wanted to chase what I thought I needed to hear or learn. I had a mentor tell me, because I just didn't like myself, Priscilla. I just didn't like myself, like my personality. My self-image was terrible. So I had a mentor that told me, turn off the TV. In this case now would be put down your phone. And for the next 2 years, read these books. He gave me 30 books and I read them in the first year. And when I tell this story, I remember like I had a place in my apartment where I would just have a nice rocking chair with a nice lighting. I would just go and I would read these books that he gave me. And so that's what I would say. If you're an entrepreneur, it's not working, keep pushing. You're going to build somebody's dream, period. It can be yours or it could be somebody else's, but you're going to build a dream.
It's interesting, Dave. Being an athlete, I would think that it takes some certain drive that most people don't have. It takes a certain amount of being able to push through. So it surprises me that you say you didn't like yourself or you didn't see yourself in a good light when you accomplish what most cannot.
I think that athletes like you, Priscilla, I've watched some of your podcasts coming in here. I can see that you're chasing something else, right? You want to become the best version of yourself. You want to see how far you can go, right? And so I think most people are like that. And I think athletes are the same. They've just gone farther with what they could do. The world idolizes them, right? They look at them and go, wow, they have it together, but they don't. In fact, behind me is a sports psychology journals that I've read for the last 5 years, 2 to 3 a week. The higher the performer, Priscilla, the more dysfunction there is. So when somebody is a super high performer that has the money and the wealth, a lot of times, I'm saying all the time, but a lot of times they're masking. And so they use the ways of the world to say, you know what? How dare you talk to me or challenge me? Look at all the stuff I got. But really they're masking. What I've learned is we don't gain an identity by how much stuff we have or how many commas we have in our bank account. It's about how we're helping others become the best version of themselves and how we're fulfilling our vision, right? And so athletes, especially in transition, I don't know if you've ever read the book by Malcolm Gladwell, 10,000 Hours. It takes a lot of hours and a lot of repetition to become an expert in something. And so that's something you become an expert in, you're going to retire from it. And then what do you do? So now the identity gets challenged. Your vision gets challenged. So that's where a properly written vision on the foundation of fulfillment and purpose is better than I want to have $10 million in the bank account. You see me as rich and I've made it. That leads to emptiness.
I'm so glad you mentioned that because even sometimes your business fails. And if
Yeah.
that was your identity and that was the vision, this business, and this is who you think you are,
It's a bad
you know,
place to be. Yeah.
it's,
And so that's why I was saying I didn't like who I was because I was trying to score goals to be likable. I was a hockey player. So the more goals I scored, the more people liked me until I stopped scoring goals. Now my identity, what happens? This is where I felt like I was on a curb in a city I've never been in. Now they got to like me for who I am. Who am I? I didn't like me because I didn't even know myself.
Well, thanks for sharing that with us, Dave. I think a lot of people will really take something from that. We put so much of ourselves into something that when that thing doesn't work, that point of, okay, so who am I? And I like that you talk about vision of purpose and of helping other people and that being
Yeah.
a place where you find joy, especially for Christian entrepreneurs. I think they would really identify with that. I'm interested to know, of the 30 books you read that year, is there one that you would say something stood out for you or something unique you remember still even today?
I could probably name about 5 to 6 of them. So How to Win Friends and Influence People, Maximize Manhood, Men Are From Mars, Women From Venus. There's so many good books in there. That Personality Plus, read that one. Strength Finder. There's so many good nuggets in there. I don't even know where to begin. Who You Are When No One's Looking, that was one of my favorite ones.
Okay.
I think Bill Hybels wrote that one. So that has stuck with me for years, Priscilla. Who You Are When No One's Looking. It's powerful. So you have integrity when everybody's watching, but what happens when nobody's watching? Because who you are when no one's looking, it really defines you. This is why I love golf so much, is because you can cheat in golf very easily and nobody would care, but you're not going to get better when you cheat.
I never thought about that golf is a sport where you can cheat.
Oh, it's so easy. Yeah.
Now, I know you've got your book, Vision Wins, and I think
Yes.
the audience is for athletes or coming up athletes. Maybe you can tell us what was the concept behind that book and what led to that.
Yeah. Vision Wins. The whole premise of the book is R7. R7, I got hit with a prophetic word in 2009 in Germany. That prophecy is pretty fine-tuned now, but it was R7. So R7 is, what's the destiny? As a Christian, we know destiny is to glorify the Lord with our talents and our abilities. What's the vision? From the vision, we build the strategy. From the strategy, we're building the brand. Then we're communicating that brand. And then we're praying about steps 1 through 5. And then step 7, take action. I'm a big fan of John Gordon. I love his books. I don't know if you ever read his books before, but they're awesome fables. The Carpenter, he's got 5 books that are just incredible. So I had the opportunity, I was chaperoning him at an FCA event, and I asked him how he wrote a book, and he told me the process, and it stuck with me for about 5 years. R7 is a fable. All the characters are either a part of my personality or somebody else's. There's a kind of a mashup of people in there, and it's Kelly and Elliot that go through life together in Edina, Minnesota. And they're challenged by their vision by this mentor named JJ, who's a Zamboni driver at a local rink. And they go through life and they have some trauma that happens because life's peaks and valleys. It's not awesome all the time. And it takes you through R7 in a fun story kind of a way.
I look forward to that.
I'm looking forward to hearing your input on the book. We need to do this again where you've read it and go, oh my gosh, what does this mean? That would be awesome.
You know what? We should do that. I love to read books, and if the author is willing, let's plan this. This is something to definitely do.
Yes, I would love that, Priscilla. Let's do it.
So to the audience, do come back because we're going to go into R7, and I think there's going to be something special for everyone there. I wanted to ask you, you've been leading this business for a long time, and you've done a lot of work with a lot of people. What would you say is your key leadership principles or biblical leadership principles?
I would say the number one is trust. One of those books on the book list that the mentor recommended me is a book called Getting Naked. And so this is a book about how you communicate with your clients, how you communicate as a leader. And it's better to be transparent about what's happening than trying to be right, is basically the premise of the book. In order to do that, you have to be honest. You have to be transparent. Having trust is a big deal in leadership. Also, I would say principle number 2 is collaboration. I've learned a long time ago that I don't have to be the smartest guy in the room. The stress of being the smartest guy in the room is too much. And then when it doesn't work, now you're not building trust. And so it's better to be collaborative than to be right. That's a big one. And so I love to collaborate and I love building trust. Those are the 2 kind of core principles. I was never the most talented person in the room. And so I didn't have the proper genes and the proper parents that had the right education. And so I always treated myself as, what can I do? Right? So if I don't have the right genes and I didn't have all the money, I just figured out that I could come early and stay late. That just requires a little bit of thought, a little bit of planning. You don't have to be special to come early, stay late. You know what you have to do? You have to be focused. And so I would say trust, collaboration, and then come early, stay late. Anything I've been accused of, Priscilla, it's good. I've been accused of being committed. Running an organization for 24 years, the same organization, you have to be committed and you have to come early, stay late.
What are you excited about that you see happening in the marketplace, in your industry, or just out there? What's exciting to you right now?
AI is exciting. Everybody's trying to figure out AI and how we use it and how it's going to change. I'm excited about that, to see how the world turns around that. I'm excited about the future of Israel. I know that sounds crazy, what Israel's going through, but I love God's chosen people and I love God's chosen land. So I'm excited to see how Israel gets glorified through all this craziness that's happening. I love being part of teams that excel, teams that are efficient. I usually leave clients with a question of, what's the future you're fighting for? It's a great question to ask. And so I love being part of that conversation and being collaborative and helping people with their vision. That's what I'm excited about. Now, on a sort of personal level, like I said, I love playing golf. I love seeing how far I can go in golf. Like, I'm pursuing that right now. It used to be CrossFit. It used to be my doctorate. Now I'm okay. How can I get better?
Thank you so much, Dave. And I'm happy that you've told me, go and read this book and let's talk about that. I'm looking forward to that as well. To the audience, please, if you'd like to know more about Dave, please go to misgood.com. It's going to be linked in the description. Dave, is there somewhere where they can follow you, where you're most active?
Yeah, I'm probably not very good on the active side of things, so I think Emma's
Mm.
Good is the best place to go. I'm on LinkedIn as well. So I would just say I post about 3 blogs a year for the last 10 years. So I've got a lot of great content on the R7 blog page on Emma's Good. So if you want to read about or watch the R7 podcast, it's on Emma's Good as well.
Dave, thanks so much. It's been an insightful conversation, and it's only part one. There will be a part two.
That's right. Let's go.
Looking forward to that. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.